Hey everyone, welcome back to Easy Speak World with Maya and Ethan, your favorite place where you learn real English through real conversations. I'm Maya. And okay, I need to be honest with you all right from the start today. This week has been a lot. Like, genuinely, I woke up on Monday and I already felt behind. Behind on emails, behind on life decisions, behind on, I don't even know what, just behind. And I know that sounds dramatic, but come on, tell me you haven't felt that way. That feeling where your life is moving fast, but you somehow feel like you're standing still, watching it go by?
Yeah, I genuinely felt that this morning, Maya. I was making coffee, completely zoned out, and then I thought, wait, didn't I need to send something important yesterday? And then I just stood there with an empty mug, trying to figure out what day it even was.
Exactly. That zoned out, where am I in life moment. And here's the thing, and as always, I've got Ethan here with me today to dig into this. We've been talking about doing an episode on something so relatable and so real. What happens when life feels genuinely messy? Not broken, not terrible, just messy, complicated, overlapping. And what's even harder? Finding the English words to explain that feeling, to yourself or to someone else.
You're right, Maya, and I think this is something people don't talk about enough. We've all been in situations where someone asks, "How are you?" and we just say, "Fine," even when we're not even close to fine. Even when our brain is doing 17 things at once and our emotions are doing 17 more.
17 things. That's generous. Some days it's like 43 things, all competing for attention, and none of them are winning.
Right. So today, that's exactly what we're unpacking. What does messy life actually look like in English? How do you describe it? How do you talk about it honestly without sounding like you're falling apart? And how can being able to express this in English actually help you feel a little more in control?
Because here's the thing I genuinely believe. When you can name something, when you can put words to it, it becomes a little less scary, a little less overwhelming. So today, we're giving you real language for real life, spoken English for the moments that actually matter. And before we go any further, if this is your kind of episode, please hit like right now. It genuinely helps more people find us. And subscribe if you're new. We do this every week. Real conversations, real English, real life. Also, we have a question for you down in the comments. When life feels messy, do you tend to talk about it or do you go quiet? We want to know. Tell us down there. Okay, let's get into it.
Why our words fail us. So, Maya, let's start here. Why do you think it's so hard to describe when life feels messy? Like, even in our own language, not just in English.
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it's because the feeling isn't one thing, right? Like, if you break your leg, you can say, my leg is broken. Done. Clear. But when life is messy, it's like, well, I'm a little tired and I'm a little anxious and I haven't been sleeping well and there's this thing at work and also I feel guilty about not calling my mom and I haven't been to the gym in 3 weeks and somehow that's become a whole identity crisis. How do you squeeze all of that into a sentence?
Okay, but did you just describe my exact week?
Yes, probably everyone's week. And see, that's exactly it. When the feeling is complicated, the words have to be complicated too. And if you're speaking in a second language, in English, it gets even harder because you might not have the vocabulary yet for that nuance. Nuance, a noun, a small, subtle difference in meaning, feeling, or expression. There's a lot of nuance in how we feel. It's never just one simple emotion.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that holds a lot of English learners back, honestly. Not grammar, not vocabulary lists. It's the ability to describe emotional complexity. The words for the in-between feelings. Like not happy, not sad, just adrift.
Adrift. Oh, that word. Say more about that one.
So, adrift literally means floating on water without direction, like a boat with no engine. But when we use it emotionally, it means you feel like you're moving through life, but you've lost your sense of direction. You're not anchored to anything solid. Things are okay on the surface, but underneath you feel loose, floating. Adrift, adjective. Emotionally, feeling lost, directionless, or without purpose. Ever since she changed jobs, she's been feeling a bit adrift. I love that word because it doesn't sound dramatic. It's not I'm devastated or I'm falling apart. It's just adrift, quietly lost, which is actually how most messy periods feel, right? They're not catastrophes. They're just a lot. Honestly, yeah. Most people aren't having a crisis. They're just carrying more than they can comfortably hold. And English has some beautiful phrases for that, like, I've got a lot on my plate. Oh, classic, a lot on my plate. Super common, totally natural. A lot on my plate, idiom, having many responsibilities or problems to deal with at once. Sorry, I've been slow to reply. I've just got a lot on my plate right now. Right. And then there's overwhelmed, which is different from busy. Busy means you have many things. Overwhelmed means those things are getting to you emotionally. They're piling up and you can't find the top of the pile anymore.
Yes, and this is important. Busy and overwhelmed are not the same. You can be busy and totally fine, but overwhelmed carries that emotional weight with it, that sense of I can't keep up, things are slipping. Overwhelmed, adjective. Feeling so buried in tasks or emotions that you can't cope well. She wasn't just busy, she was overwhelmed. She needed to stop and breathe. The I'm fine problem. Okay, Ethan, here's a thing I want to talk about. The phrase, I'm fine. It might be the most dishonest phrase in the English language.
100%. I'm fine means approximately 0 things most of the time.
Right? Like native English speakers use it all the time, and we all know. We all know that I'm fine can mean anything from I am genuinely completely fine to I am barely holding it together, and please don't ask follow-up questions.
It's like a social safety blanket. It keeps the conversation moving without actually opening a door.
Exactly. And if you're learning English, if someone asks you, how are you, and things aren't great, you have more options. You don't have to lie and say, I'm fine. And you also don't have to do a full emotional breakdown in the middle of the office. There's a whole range in between.
So, what are some of those middle ground phrases, Maya?
Okay, so you could say, I've been better, honestly. That's honest, but soft. It lets the person know things aren't perfect without being dramatic. I've been better. A polite, understated way of saying you're not feeling great. Subtle, but honest. How are you? Honestly, I've been better.
Or, things are a bit all over the place right now. That's one of my favorites. All over the place. Do you want to explain that one?
Oh, absolutely. All over the place means chaotic, disorganized, scattered. It's great because it describes a situation without assigning blame. Like, you're not saying everything is terrible. You're just saying there's no clear structure right now. Things aren't where they should be. All over the place. Idiom. Disorganized, chaotic, without clear structure. My schedule is all over the place this month. I can't seem to get organized.
And then there's one I use a lot. I'm just navigating a bit of a transition right now, which sounds way more calm and adult than I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Okay, that's a very Ethan thing to say, but it's smart. Navigating makes you the active person. You're not lost, you're finding your way through. It's a much more empowered word. Navigating, verb gerund, actively moving through a difficult or uncertain situation. She's navigating a really tough time. New city, new job, everything at once.
Words matter so much, right? The word you choose changes the story you tell yourself. I'm lost and I'm navigating describe the same situation, but one of them makes you feel helpless and the other makes you feel capable.
Okay, wait. That's actually such a good point, and it connects to something bigger. There's actually a concept in psychology about this, the idea that language shapes experience. Like the words we use literally change how our brain processes what's happening to us.
Right. If you keep saying, I'm a mess, your brain starts filing that as an identity. But if you say, I'm going through a messy period, that's temporary. That's a phase, not a personality.
Yes, and this is so useful for English learners specifically because you're already getting better at English. And learning better English words means learning better ways of thinking about your own life. That's not just a language skill, that's a life skill.
And stick with us, because later in this episode, we're going to give you some really powerful phrases for asking for help in English, like actually asking someone if you can talk, because that's another place people get stuck. They want to reach out, but they don't know how to start that conversation. We've got you.
Okay, so Ethan, I want to talk about something specific now, because I think the messiest periods in life aren't when one big thing goes wrong. They're when everything happens at the same time, when things overlap.
Oh, absolutely. Like work stress on its own, manageable. Relationship tension on its own, you can deal with it. But when those two happen in the same week, plus you haven't been sleeping, plus your friend is going through something hard and you're trying to support them while falling apart yourself?
That's when it becomes a lot. And there's a phrase for that. Everything hit at once. Or it all came at the same time. I love that phrase because it's honest without being dramatic. Everything hit at once. Phrase. Multiple difficult things happening simultaneously. I know I've been quiet. Everything just hit at once this month, and I'm still catching up.
And the flip side of that, when things are slowly getting better, but you're still not quite okay yet, there's a great phrase. I'm getting there.
Oh, I'm getting there. That's such a hopeful phrase. It's like, I'm not there yet, but I'm moving in the right direction. It's optimistic but realistic, honest. I'm getting there. Phrase. Slowly improving, not fully recovered or finished yet, but making progress. How's the new job? Honestly, I'm getting there. It's been a learning curve.
And speaking of learning curves, that's another great English phrase for messy periods. A learning curve is when something is new and difficult and you're making mistakes, but those mistakes are actually teaching you something. Learning curve, noun. The process of learning something new and difficult, often through mistakes. Moving to a new country was a steep learning curve. I had to figure everything out from scratch.
And notice how learning curve reframes a hard experience as a growth experience. Instead of saying, this is too hard and I'm failing, you're saying, this is difficult and I'm learning. Same situation, totally different energy.
I think that's one of the most powerful things English gives you, actually. This incredibly rich vocabulary around resilience. Like, there are so many ways to say things are hard, but I'm still here.
Give me a few.
Okay, I'm hanging in there. Classic. Means you're surviving something difficult. You haven't given up, but it's not easy. Then there's taking it one day at a time, which means you're not thinking about the big picture right now because it's too much. You're just focusing on today. Hanging in there. Managing to continue despite difficulty. Surviving, but not thriving yet. She's been dealing with a lot, but she's hanging in there.
I love one day at a time. It's gentle, it's forgiving, like you're giving yourself permission to not have everything figured out.
And sometimes that's the only honest answer. You don't have a plan. You don't know how it ends, but you're still showing up. That counts for something.
Okay, that's actually kind of profound, Ethan.
I have my moments.
Don't let it go to your head. Okay, let's talk about one more dimension of this, because we've talked about how to describe the mess, but we haven't talked about something really important. How do you talk to someone else about it? How do you open that conversation? Asking for help. Real English for real moments.
Right, because there's a whole skill in this. It's not just about finding the right words for yourself. It's about knowing how to start the conversation when you need support. And a lot of people, even native speakers, struggle with this. They don't know how to say, I need help, without feeling like a burden.
Burden. Let's actually define that because it's such a common word in this context. Burden, noun. A heavy responsibility or problem, when used personally, the feeling that you are causing trouble or inconvenience for others. She didn't want to ask for help because she didn't want to be a burden. And this feeling, the fear of being a burden, it stops so many people from reaching out. So let's give some phrases that make it easier. Starting soft. Starting with just checking if someone has space for you. Yes. Okay, so a really gentle opener is, hey, do you have a minute? I just need to vent a bit. Vent is a really important word here. Vent, verb. To express frustration, stress, or negative emotions by talking about them. I don't need advice, I just need to vent. Can you listen for a sec? And that's actually a really important distinction. Venting versus asking for advice. If you just need someone to listen, you can say, I'm not looking for advice right now. I just need to talk. That's clear. That's kind to the other person too, because they know what their role is. Oh, that's so good, because there's nothing worse than going to someone feeling terrible and they immediately go into problem-solving mode. And you're like, I didn't want solutions. I just wanted to be heard. Exactly. So that little sentence, I just need to talk, not get advice, it sets up the whole conversation. It gives you control over what kind of support you're looking for. And another phrase I love for this is, I'm not sure how to explain it, but something feels off. Because sometimes that's the most honest thing you can say. You don't have a diagnosis, you don't have a story, you just feel off. A feeling that something is slightly wrong or not right, even if you can't identify what exactly. I've been okay on the surface, but honestly, something just feels off lately.
I use that phrase probably once a week. It's so useful because it's open-ended. It invites the other person to ask a follow-up. It doesn't overshare, but it does signal, hey, I'm not quite right, and maybe I need someone to notice that.
And on the flip side, when you're the friend, the listener, there are phrases for that too. Like, I'm here if you want to talk. So simple, but powerful. Or, that sounds really hard. How are you holding up? How are you holding up? A compassionate way of asking how someone is coping with a difficult situation. More specific and caring than a generic, how are you?
See, that's different from how are you, because it already acknowledges that things are hard. You're not pretending everything's normal. You're meeting the person where they actually are.
Yes, and there's a whole thing in English around what we call checking in, which means reaching out specifically to see how someone is doing, not for any other reason, just to say, I'm thinking about you. How are things? Check in, phrasal verb, to contact someone specifically to see how they're doing, especially after a difficult time. I just wanted to check in. I know last week was tough for you.
And honestly, in English conversation culture, checking in is really valued. People appreciate it when you remember that they went through something and you follow up. It builds trust. It builds closeness.
So if you have a friend or a colleague who you know has been going through a tough time, send them a message in English. Literally, hey, just checking in. How are you holding up? That's it. That's the whole message, and it will mean a lot. When the mess becomes a turning point.
Okay, Maya, I want to take this somewhere a little more hopeful now, because I think there's another side to messy periods that people don't always recognize in the moment.
Oh, tell me.
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the messy period is actually the beginning of something. Like things feel chaotic because you're in the middle of a change. And change is always messy in the middle. It's not messy at the start when you're excited, and it's not messy at the end when things have settled. But in the middle, total chaos.
Oh, I love that framing, the messy middle. It's like if you're redecorating a room, the worst moment is when everything is pulled apart and the new stuff hasn't arrived yet. The room looks terrible, but that doesn't mean the room is going to be terrible. It just means you're mid-process.
Exactly. And in English, there's a phrase, it's always darkest before the dawn, which is a bit of a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Darkest before the dawn. Things often seem worst right before they start to get better. A classic phrase of encouragement. Don't give up now. It's always darkest before the dawn.
And there's also turning point, which is one of my favorite English expressions for this. A turning point is a moment when things start to change direction, when something shifts. Turning point.
A critical moment when something begins to change in a new direction, often for the better. Losing that job was hard, but looking back, it was a real turning point for me. And you often only recognize the turning point when you're looking back on it. In the moment, it just feels like chaos. It's only later that you go, oh, that's where things started to shift.
That is so real. Like, I remember a period a few years ago where everything felt completely unstable. I was between jobs, I just moved, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And at the time, terrifying. But now, that period basically shaped everything that came after. All the good stuff came after that.
See, that's a story I think a lot of people in our community can relate to, especially if you're learning English to move somewhere new, or to change careers, or to connect with new people. That kind of ambition almost always comes with a messy middle.
And if you can name that period, if you can say, I'm in a transition right now, or this is a turning point, or I'm navigating something difficult,
It gives the chaos a frame, and that frame makes it a little more bearable.
I'd also add, I'm figuring things out. That's another great phrase. It's so human. It doesn't pretend to have the answer, but it says, I'm still working on it. I haven't given up. Figuring things out. Phrase. In the process of understanding a situation, making decisions, or finding direction. I don't have a plan yet. I'm still figuring things out, but I'm getting closer.
And there's something really honest and mature about that phrase, isn't there? It's the opposite of performing confidence you don't have. It's like, I'm on the journey. I don't have the destination yet, but I'm moving. Listener challenge.
Okay, we always like to give you something practical, so here's your challenge for this week. Think about one area of your life that feels a bit messy right now. Work, relationships, routine, goals, whatever it is, and try to describe it using the phrases we talked about today. Not things are bad, not I don't know how to explain it. Use your new English. Try one of these.
I've got a lot on my plate with my job right now, but I'm navigating it. Or, things have been all over the place, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Or, I'm in a bit of a transition, honestly, figuring things out. Write one of these in the comments. It can be about anything. We'll read them. We love seeing how our listeners use the language.
And there's a second part to the challenge. This week, when someone asks you, how are you? Try not to say fine automatically. Try something more honest, even if it's just, I've been better, thanks. Notice how it feels to be a little more real in that moment.
Oh, I really like that one. Because it's not about oversharing. It's about practicing honesty in small moments. And English gives you the tools to do that with grace. Closing.
So, to bring this all together, we covered a lot today. We talked about why messy feelings are hard to describe. We looked at words like adrift, overwhelmed, navigating. We talked about those honest middle ground phrases. We explored the language of asking for support and checking in. And we ended with the idea that mess, quite often, is not the end of something. It's the middle of something.
And the most important takeaway for me? Language is not just a communication tool. It's a thinking tool. The better your English gets, the more clearly you can think about your own experience. You're not just learning a language. You're learning a new way to understand your own life.
Well said. And if today's episode helped you, if you heard something that made you think, yes, that's me, share it with someone. Pass it on. Because I promise there's someone in your life who could use these words right now.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We put so much love into every episode. This is a community. These are real conversations about real English for real life. And we're so glad you're here with us. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. And remember, if things feel messy right now, you're not alone. And you've got the words for it. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.